Hello and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Japleen Kaur and I'm a Salesforce consultant based out of Canada. In this series, we talk about various tools of Omni Studio, the nitty-gritties, the fundamentals of Omni Studio, and here we are to talk about Extract DataRaptor. If you're probably new here, I would highly encourage you to go back and see the last two videos. The first video talked about an overview or introduction to Omni Studio. The second video talked about what is Turbo Extract DataRaptor. And today we are going to talk about what is Extract DataRaptor. So agenda for this video is we are first of all, of course, going to talk about what is Extract DataRaptor, how can we create one, how can we extract data from multiple objects at the same time, use of formulas, what to do when the output is null, how can we configure various permissions and caching. Now, if you have watched the last two videos, you would know that there are two data raptors which help us to extract data from Salesforce. The first one is Turbo Extract Data Raptor. It is used when we want to fetch data from single Salesforce object at one time. In comparison to Turbo Extract, we have Extract Data Raptor, which is used when we want to fetch data from single or multiple Salesforce objects at one time. Okay. Now, again, these Salesforce object types range from standard objects, custom objects, they can be external objects, or even custom metadata. Now, what is supported in Extract Data Raptor? We have formulas. We can use various formulas such as today, concatenation, count query, max minimum, serialize, reserialize, etc. We'll see and we'll talk about these formulas in our upcoming videos. It also supports operators such as and, or, logical operators, string operators, mathematical operators, and so on. We also have an output tab where we can map data that is extracted to our output JSON. And lastly, it supports custom JSON, default values, and translations. So now let's take an example of a scenario. Suppose you are a customer agent in an insurance company, and whenever a customer calls, you would want that a screen should pop up, or there should be a screen that displays all the relevant contact information or the customer information, and it should display all the related open cases. Let's go into our Salesforce orgs and see how can we create an extract data raptor that fetches information from contact and its related open cases at the same time. After logging into your Salesforce org, go to Omni Studio app and Omni Studio Data Raptors menu. Click on New. We would need to give a name in reference to our extraction. I will say get contact details and related cases. Okay, I'll keep it as extract data raptor and leaving the rest of the configuration as it is. I'll say save. Now we will notice here that these two tabs, formulas and output tab, were not present in Turbo Extract because again this capability comes with Extract Data Raptor. Now under extract step, I would be giving my contact object because this is the object from which I have to fetch the information. I will say contact details. Now I would say ID equals. Now I need to give some ID here. I have already opened this contact. I'll just copy the ID from here and I will say this. I'll go to preview. I'll say execute. Nothing comes up. However, I can see that there is a query select ID from contact where ID equals this limit 50,000. We need to configure the fields that we need to extract from Salesforce, and this configuration is done under the output tab. Now over here, when we click on plus icon, we can select the fields that we want to fetch. I will say contact name. Output JSON path is nothing but the node in which the details will go in. Contact name. You'll see here that once I add the output JSON path, my JSON gets my JSON starts getting formed in this structure. Output data type, we are going to leave as it is. It is nothing but a way to define the type of your output. We will be by default getting a text, and we can see here as well. So we'll leave it as it is. Now let's say I want to get birth date. I'll say contact birth date. I'll add it. I can see that it's a text. Now, for example, I want to convert into a date. I'll say date. Okay. And that's it. Going back to preview, let's execute it once again and see what I get. So I can see that I can get a contact birth date and my contact name. Now I want to go back and I want to say that I also want to fetch the related open cases. I am going to say case object. I'm going to say open cases, and I want to filter where contact ID equals. I want to establish a link between these two objects. So the way I do is by taking contact details colon ID. Go to preview, execute. Of course, you won't see anything because you have not configured your output tab. So I'll say where cases, suppose I want to fetch the case number. I want to say case number, go to preview, execute, and this is how I get my details. Now I can see that I'm getting the repeated blocks of information where contact name and contact birth date is repeating itself. When we are configuring our output tab, we can also see this kind of information in our current JSON output. We would want to rectify this because we wouldn't want that we get contact birth date and contact name once, and under that we can get all the related case details. How we do is, let's go back to our extract tab, and in order to do this we need to do this. So I can see here, if you notice, as soon as I did this, my JSON structure automatically changed. We need to go back to our output tab and once again configure this. I will say contact, okay, let's say case number, contact details, open cases, and case number. Now, we also need to change our output JSON path. We need to copy this and we need to paste it here. Now, as soon as I did this, I can see that my JSON got changed. Going back to preview, I click on execute and I can see that I'm getting my details in this format. Contact birth date, contact name, and all the related cases into an array. Okay, let's add more case details. I also want to get, for example, status of the case. Let's say open case status. Let's copy this path again. Let's go back to preview and let's see. Now I can see that there are two cases that are not closed and there are two cases that are closed. In our scenario, we want to query only those cases in which the status equals open, or basically the status not equals closed. So I need to put a filter in my query where status is not equals closed. I go back here, I execute it, and now I can see that my query returns me only two cases with status new and working. Now, this is how we configure an extract DataRaptor where we have to query multiple objects at one single time. Now, let's see a use case where we have to configure a formula. Let's say, for example, we want to display age of the customer. How we can do it is, we already have a predefined formula for age. We also have the birth date of the customer. I can just copy this and paste it here as it is. Okay, and I would say that it's a contact age. I go to my output tab, and when I go to extract JSON path, I'll see automatically this contact age starts coming in. This contact age is nothing but name of the variable that we defined here. I can give a path contact age. I'll see that it got added into my JSON node. I'll go to preview and I'll say execute again. Now it automatically gave me the age of my contact, that is 78. Now this comes handy because we need not create a new formula field in our org itself. We can just create a formula in our Omni Studio and display it on the screen as it is. Coming to our options tab, we can see here that we have options for setting up the cache, session cache or org cache. We discussed about this caching thing in our previous video as well. Now, if we select session cache and if we say 20 minutes, this data, the extracted data will stay with us for the next 20 minutes before a new server call is hit. Check field level security. If we enable this, it will check the logged in user's field level security, and if the user does not have access to the fields that we are extracting from this data raptor, they'll not be able to see the information. Now you can see here there is another permission, that is override target for all null inputs. Now let's see what this is all about. Let's go here to my contact again. And let's say I remove my birth date from here. I say save. Okay, I go to my data raptor and I say execute. My birth date and age disappeared. Now you'll notice here that even if the value is null, my node didn't get formed. This is because when we have null outputs, our node doesn't get added here. This is where we can configure the override target for all null inputs setting. I go back to my preview, I say execute, and you'll notice here that my contact age also started coming and my contact birth date also started coming. This is a feature, or this is a setting that comes into handy when we are using these data raptors within FlexCards or Omni scripts. So that was all for this video. We talked about how we can extract data from multiple sources or multiple objects. We also noticed that how we can filter out our queries, how we can create formulas, how we can create our output JSON, and how we can structure our output JSON as well. What are some of the caching or configuration settings that Extract DataRaptor provides us? And of course, how we can preview our data that will be formed into our response JSON. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching it. Stay tuned for more practice hands-on exercises.